What's up, big dog?
What up? What up?
Not much, man. Glad to be back here with you.
How you been? How you been?
Been good, man. I was just talking about you not too long ago, and just love bombing you with a friend, and being like, "Damn, this man is actually a man that is not only someone that I look up to, but someone that I can learn vicariously through." You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you, thank you. You funny.
That's all. But I wanna I won't make you blush too much. I won't love bombing you like crazy, but I did want to get into something that I was thinking pretty hard on, and we've touched on it before too. Now that we
Yeah.
get into it, kind of simulation theory, but also everything that's tied in between it. And like, I feel like people get so hung up on like the first stage is, oh man, maybe we're in a simulation. No one really stops to consider, why do you think the simulation was created?
Oh, that's a good one, bruh.
Right.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Because you think about it, you could create a simulation for so many, like, different reasons. But, like, I feel like if you look at our world, like, you think about it, one big reason would definitely be like for financial reasons.
Naturally.
Well,
Yeah, I think aside from just the financial, what trips me out is like the simulation itself can't feel loss or loving or longing or anything like that. So why build something that can? Yeah, like the simulation itself isn't a prison. It's the only way God or whatever you want to call it could actually experience this. So it's like
mm,
it's the old sentiment that everyone talks about that's like, call it that we're one universal mind. Everyone on the planet has the same consciousness, but
mm,
for whatever reason, at some point in time, someone decided, it's too chaotic for one person to hold all this knowledge. We got to split it across 7, 8 billion people so that we can experience ourselves. It's interesting to think of like, what was the incentive for this game? Why are we all plugged into this? And what
mm,
ultimately are we here to achieve? When for me, the most obvious thing is like we were here to feel our feelings and to go and grow through turmoil.
mm, mm. Maybe, and then if you think about it, because like if you think about the whole world or the universe as and the concept of a simulation, then that changes a lot of things. It's like then maybe you could even take that further. It's like maybe what you're saying is like to grow, through suffering and all these different things, and but maybe even for not just ourselves, but for the people outside the simulation to learn from it as well.
That's a good point. That takes it even a deeper layer. Yeah, that's a really good
Yeah.
one. Knowledge is like it's egotistical for us to think, oh, this game was built for us and for our experience. It's like naturally, if you were the guy on the outside, you would simulate an environment because you're trying to learn something. You're
Yeah.
trying you're trying to gain access to something, even if it's just past memories, But I think the fact that we keep coming back because the loop doesn't close until something is resolved. You know what I mean? Like cyclical time.
Mm,
Cyclical time isn't a glitch; it's the mechanism, and we're not stuck in it. We're like mid-cycle. So
mm,
our perception of what's going on is kind of like what we've talked about in the past with retrocausality and all these things is like you have to consider the component that the future is affecting the present, which affects the past and vice versa. We get like breadcrumbs of this through great philosophers, whether it's Dostoevsky or Nietzsche or anyone that it can acknowledge like the present and what we think of as the present isn't actually the present. If time is
mm,
completely cyclical and we're going through these motions, then there's something that we're doing here because we're trying to relearn it. You know what I mean? Everyone says, oh, there's a glitch in the matrix. There's something that's changed. It's different. What if it was deliberate? You know, who knows? There's almost, it's more information than you can possibly like comprehend. That's the problem.
Yeah, think about that. It's like, and you, because that that takes me into so many directions. It's like, because even to what you're saying, it's like, let's say, for example, we're on this reciprocal like time, right? And like we're repeating certain things until we upgrade or learn it. Think about what else does that is new on the scene is AI. It's like
Right.
they train the AI into certain things and problems and stuff like that until the training data is training off the data until it performs a certain way, and then it's ready for the big show. So maybe what if the universe like itself is a similar thing? It's like because we individually are learning, but what if the universe itself is also learning
Using this to learn. Yeah.
exactly the same time?
It's kind of like exactly the microcosm, and it sparked in my head as way as you said it is like,
Yeah,
we think we're using AI for our benefit. Like it's our tool for us to make money, for all these opportunistic things that everyone's like, oh, you got to get on AI now. But we're under the illusion that we're using AI and we're not considering the fact that maybe AI is using us the same way, it's all around us. Realistically, I heard an argument the other day. This one's great. And this was like a 9-year-old kid who said, he goes, Mom, you think you're planting plants because you enjoy plants, but what you don't realize is plants give you carbon dioxide and oxygen and they look nice.
mm,
But what you don't realize is like as much as you think you're using them, they're using you. What if the fact was that plants are actually here to grow humans? And I mean, that's just a thought experiment, but the
yeah,
idea, the thing you think you're controlling is actually controlling you and manipulating you, and I think to a degree that's in a sense what our life cycle is like every moment that hits different with grief, fall in love, loyalty to people, none of it's random. It's that the simulation is doing exactly what it was that designed to do, which is
yeah,
that those moments are the whole point. You know what I mean?
yeah,
When we experience deja vu, we think, oh, maybe it's a memory error or whatever. Dude, it's recognition. It's you remembering that you got close to that moment before and it happened again. So I think once we realize everything is cyclical and we're going through motions, the things we think we're using are actually using us. Like it's
hmm,
egotistical for humans to think that this is our experience and it's all for us and whatever. Like you said, you have to put yourself in the shoes of who's outside of the game that's using us as a test subject. This
yeah,
is this is one simulation among the many others. So what test are we running here?
yeah. And you think about it too. You take it even further. It's like, um, if you look at how this world works, like what would we use simulations for? We would use it for number one, money, like
Right.
currency to to freaking make money from, and
Other data.
entertainment
Yeah.
data to forecast future trends and all kinds of different things. So it's like you think about it, it's like, or you even get to a higher degree of it. You would even use it for let's say you're freaking who knows, maybe billionaires right now, but maybe 100 years from now, 200 years from now, everyone could have their own simulation. You know what I mean?
Right. Who
And so
knows?
you could just simulate like whole portions of your life just to be like, what happens if I do this or go this
Right.
direction or this and that? What if I invest in this, or how's it end up 10 years from now?
Can you imagine how much life would change if everyone had a crystal ball? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? everyone we knew could get a glimpse of the future and simulate different probabilities of what they could do, what they couldn't do, what's the best path forward to achieve what they want to achieve.
Yeah.
And it's like, given the trajectory of how things are going with AI and all the stuff, it's like it's naive for us as humans to think that we're the one-off case. We're just the random phenomenon that we're on the, we're the one spinning rock that
Yeah.
created and has this thing going. But I think like what we talked about before too, like the real anomaly here is love. It's the one thing that people can't understand. It's something you see even in video games. It's something you
Mm,
see everywhere that like you can't artificially induce love. Love itself is a phenomenon between the game itself that no one expected, but it's here, you know?
mm,
And
mm,
it's the transport vessel that's basically a highway. It's the thing that will get us to where we need to be. It's its own source of energy, similar to consciousness. It's like, and we talked about this before too. It's like we can only hypothesize at this and throw ideas out, but for me, it seems pretty clear that like the way the game is set up, naturally there will be phenomenon built into it that we won't be able to fully comprehend. That's all.
mm.
You know,
Maybe that's an interesting thought too, because maybe within a simulation, I wouldn't doubt there are certain anomalies that appear that even the creators of the simulation don't understand.
right?
So maybe things like love transcend just the simulation. Like I'm sure there are some things that occur, especially if a being becomes like a truly conscious being, where it transcends the simulated nature of the system itself. It's something
Right.
that goes beyond the simulations into who knows what. But maybe love is one of those things actually that transcends it.
Makes sense. I mean, you think about it on your personal level, and then like the idea that you can create something that's greater than the sum. So it's like people think, in like basic elementary terms, is like, okay, 1 plus 1 will give us 2. But what if there's a situation where 1 plus 1 gives us an 11? You know what I mean? Where
Mm,
it compounds, that it's greater than we ever imagined. And I think what happens with even in our own interpersonal relationships is like you found yourself in a situation with a woman who loved you to a degree that you didn't know was possible, who brought things out of you that you didn't even know you had in you. Like your personality changes, your whole character changes, and it's all
mm,
based on of what? Like the love you had for that person. So the phenomenon exists even on the micro level. What love does on an interpersonal connection is more than we could ever imagine. And I think that's where the phenomenon starts is like, we can see it as the whole of like the simulation wasn't ready for love and it's disrupting it in a beneficial way. But it actually even starts on our own interpersonal relationships of like, you are the man who you are today because of the woman you're with. You know what I
mm,
mean? And
mm.
you don't even know why that is, but
Yeah.
you can, if you really sit with it, you could think and go, damn, like, you know i'm I am who I am because of who I have around me. And who is the closest person to you than the woman that shows you the most love?
Mm,
Speaking from a
mm,
man's perspective, it's just like that's the core of it. Like the phenomenon actually starts within you and your own relationship, and then extrapolates outwards from there to where now everything's kind of haywire. Like even say, put ourselves in this perspective of the simulation makers, the
mm,
guys who wanted to run this game to see what we were doing, extrapolating data, whatever. Maybe they didn't perceive that love would be such a strong impact, but now they're realizing when they look at it and they go, man, this is causing something that no one perceived it. It's an interaction between 2 points. You know what I mean? Kind of like when
yeah.
it's like a formula. You're baking a cake, right? And you just thought your cake would come out perfect because the recipe you read online would do this, but you didn't realize when you made that cake, you did something a little different and it caused
Mm,
everything to it didn't turn out the way you wanted, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. That's the phenomenon, is like we created something by running this simulation, and what we are and the human experience is different than what our originators thought it would be.
That's really interesting, actually. It's like, and you think about it too. It's like if we created a simulation here and now, we would be able to fast forward that simulation, 100 years, 200 years, and then be able to extrapolate and be like, oh man, like we can go this direction. So who knows, the different, and then they can experiment even in terms of just like, oh, even if it's, let's make the universe or this world like slightly different in this way
Right.
to see what happens here.
Yeah, exactly. You create your own variables, and it's like, I think what everyone's kind of entered this playing field on the same regard of like, no one knows why we're here, no one knows what we're doing. We're just trying to survive and do the best we can and have a good experience. But the things we don't consider is how manipulated is it? You know what I mean? How much,
Mm,
the fact that right now everything you do on your level, you're on your phone, you're on your computer, you do things that are outside of you, all of that is data that's being extracted. So why would it be any different than your own life? You know what I mean?
mm,
It's like we're living the microcosm of thinking, oh, you have privacy because you're on Signal, which is like a
mm,
private program. Come on, dude. It's like nothing is private. Everything you're doing is a microcosm of what's actually happening on a bigger level. None of us know why we're here. None of us know what
yeah.
we're doing. We just want to make the best of it. And I think there's, because of that benevolence, that everyone feels like this is inherently like a happens chance thing, and why people turn towards religion. It doesn't diminish religion. I think that there's a big component in our lives to where people can rely on someone like a Jesus Christ, or they want to go to Muhammad, or they want to go to Buddha. We look
Yeah.
towards we look towards enlightened figures in our life. Everyone is striving to have guidance from someone, but
Mm,
what I think we're missing here is that there's a component that is actually controlling the whole thing. It's a weird thing when you really sit into it and go, man, is my whole life a video game and someone's here studying my actions? What if it was
yeah.
multifold and that everything we did was not only entertainment, but it was for data, it was for education, it was for, you
Yeah.
know, you
A
wouldn't know.
study. Like I seen this or this researcher who was saying, for example, they would use he in his theory he was saying that if if we created a future civilization that was creating simulations, they would use it for like ancestral studies, like to study like our ancestors. And but obviously, I think like if you're gonna do that, you would study, because if you could do that, you would study the future probably too,
Of
past
course,
and the future. That's crazy.
I think it's a trip looking at it in general of where we are now versus what we know, and then you realize really quick, no one really knows where we are.
Yeah. Think about it. You're born in a world where you have no memory of where you come from before.
It's like we all entered a dream together, and
Yeah.
we're all trying to make sense of this dream and subscribe meaning, and there's theories. No one knows for sure, and for me, that's like the concept too of like the idea of what's factual, is like,
Mm,
what is it factual if it ends up in a science journal and then it's factual, you
yeah.
know? So it's like when you hear someone's opinion, or even like what we talked about before, and people go off on like the flat earth thing. I personally don't believe in the flat earth. It seems a little too crazy for me, but I entertain the idea because for me it scratches that itch of like, man, humans are always trying to figure out what is going on. Where are we?
Mm,
What are we doing? What is this dreamscape that we're in? You know what I mean? What is
yeah.
consciousness? What is love? We have no idea. The best we can do is throw stuff at the wall and hope something sticks. And
That's
until
true.
someone with authority or someone that's a scientist tells us that's what it is, then the consciousness changes. But
Yeah,
I love our talks together because it feels like that's what we can do, is like basically be like, these are all of the things that are out there. Like ultimately we're all kind of figuring out what's going on in the dark. So no one really knows, you know what I mean?
exactly, exactly. We're all
Kind of.
just journeying, trying to figure it out.
Right. It's like kind of when you were a kid, you assumed your parents had it figured out. They knew what was going on. And
Yeah.
then as time passes and you grow up, you realize, man, like even my parents didn't know what's going on. And then it extrapolates out further and you go, man, no one knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Everyone's just kind of subscribing to a notion of what they feel comfortable. And a lot of people just want comfort. They just want something to tell them
Mm,
it's going to be all right. Here's the plan. When you die, if you're a good person, you're going to end up in a paradise. If you're a bad
mm,
person, you're going to end up in fire, you know?
yeah. Now
And
you think
so,
about it. You think about it too. It's like, going back to like really going off the simulation theory is if you think about the religions too. I feel like in a simulation, the religions would be important simply because people in a simulation would need something to believe in
right,
because you without it um, you couldn't have people would be lost, and in a sense, like if you look at the religions, they would actually help to maintain the simulation because they're always seeking these answers and always seeking, but rather than have them look really deeply into the simulation, then just have them believe in and point their focus into the religion that would keep them fulfill that need to know deeper
right.
things.
Right.
Yeah, but at the same time keep them from the truth of it.
I think you said it perfectly. I mean, there's tools all around us of the things we do. I mean, even look at like, and we've talked about this before too, is like ego plays a huge part in the whole game. Like
Mm,
you need to have ego. Everyone has to have a sense of like who they are, that idea of separation, like that
mm,
I am Kelly, you are Jamar, we are two separate humans, you know what I mean? And it's
mm,
almost like we're hardwired, we're programmed to believe that like I am no different than you. But when we really break down all the barriers and we look at it, we go, you know what? I'm really not that different than you.
yeah.
I'm looking to find love. I want to be loved. I want to be successful. I want to be able to take care of people. Like we strive for the same things. So
Mm,
at its core, how different are we? You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
like you're black, I'm white, you're older, I'm younger, you have this, I have that. Like we can compare differences left and right, but at the end of the day, what most people want is the exact same thing. They just want to be
Mm,
content with their life, they want to be loved, and they want to show love. And it's like,
mm,
so you can't help ignore this mirror of like I love the analogy, frankly, and I've heard this a while back that like the universe is basically a massive mirror that's shattered into a bunch of pieces. And
I like that actually.
and the only way that a mirror could even experience itself is if it saw itself. So we're kind of like a hall of mirrors. We're looking
Mm,
at ourselves so that we can grow from each other. And then, look at even the distinction with AI is like, what is the difference between us and AI? We're learning from AI. Simultaneously, AI is learning from us.
yeah.
So we're giving it something and it gives us something. So it's a symbiotic relationship, the same thing that we do, this dance with each other, that this is what the game was built for. This is why we're here, is because we are using ourselves to learn from ourselves. Uh,
Mm,
I mean, simulation theory can run in one way, and you can choose to see it as, oh, it's all ones and zeros, it's binary code, like this is all
yeah.
programming in code, whatever. It seems meaningless. But if you really look at it, you can hopefully see it from the optimistic view of like, man, we are the lucky ones. The angels, the ones that we revere that think that have made it actually envy us. You know what I mean?
That's
Because
interesting.
we are the ones that get to make merit. We are the ones that get to test ourselves. You gave yourself obstacles in your life. You had a woman that gave you trouble. You had a job that gave you some turmoil. You had all these things. Those were opportunities for you to build to be the better person. Whereas, you know what living hell actually is where you don't have any obstacles around you. Even
Oh,
even
yeah, yeah.
heaven, if you really think about heaven, it might be hell. Because what is it if you're living in paradise and you have nothing to move you forward? That sounds like hell.
Mm,
That sounds like hell. You
mm.
would eventually become content and be like, man, I got everything I need. I got women, I got
Well,
money, I got power, whatever you want, it's there. But then what? What do you do? You know what I
well, think
mean?
about that actually, dude. Think about celebrities. Is when you look at a lot of celebrities, you would seem like, man, they have money, they have fame, they have, everything they need, but yet you see so often is like they'll be committing suicide, they'll drug overdose, all these different things. A lot of that, I think, is exactly what you're saying. It's like they get to a point in which they pretty much have everything. Is there is no like
Nothing
great
to
life
strive for.
challenges in front of them anymore. So then at that point, it's like, what do you do with that? It's like you don't have any, you know, any destination to overcome, any battle to overcome. So it's just like you got the money, you got the fame.
Right.
Now you're seeking new highs. That's why a lot of them are, go to drugs because they're seeking new highs, or go to extreme things because they're seeking that new high again.
100%. You see it with the Epstein files. You see it with the Hollywood actors that end up like, overdoing
Mm,
it in one way or another. Is like, I mean, realistically, most people can relate to the fact that like you've played a video game to where you beat the game and then you go, okay, now what? You enjoyed the game, but it's like
mm,
there's no storyline left. There's nothing for you to overcome. There's nothing difficult. Like, what are you supposed to do now? Just have fun? You're gonna get
mm.
over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a good way that I found in my life that when obstacles occur, I go, man, I'm grateful that I have this obstacle because realistically, if I had no obstacles, what am I? You know what I mean?
Mm, yeah.
Technically, all we are is the accumulation of our obstacles and the things that we do to move forward. Like, and it's the same, you see it everywhere, dude. Like,
Mm,
example, my uncle is like 80 years old. The guy should be retired. He can retire. He chooses to work. You see it with
mm,
old people where they're like, they don't want to give up. They want to keep playing the game. They want to do something. You know what I mean?
yeah. Once you have no more resistance, no more challenge, then at that point, what happens? I mean, even physically, like you look at the body, is once you once you are at rest, you're not no longer pursuing, fitness, or keeping yourself moving. Then the body just naturally declines.
Right. It's the Old Testament that you always see is if you don't use it, you lose it. If you're not
Yeah.
growing, you're shrinking. It's the same thing of like human beings are built to be persistent. We're supposed to keep moving. You got to find, there's always something we're finding to overcome. And as soon as you lose that, if you've achieved everything and you're just sitting back, you made all your money, your family's happy, you have everything. That kind of sounds like a living hell to me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost like the thing we strive to be is actually our deepest enemy.
Mm.
Um,
Wow, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Actually, you remind me of the scene in The Matrix where the agent's talking to I think Morpheus, and he's saying, we made a world for you humans. It was a perfect world, but you rejected it.
right,
It's that same philosophy. It's like once people have something where it's just like there is no issues, there is no problems. Like it's almost as if we instinctively needs some kind of challenge or problem for us to pursue or overcome. I mean, I think you can even look at this even like on a smaller level in relationships as well. Sometimes even in relationships, if there isn't a balance of good and bad, or like if it's too perfect and there's not, certain challenges or difficulties to overcome, then to some people the relationship may feel like stagnant or boring or
Um,
yeah.
I think, yeah. I mean, what exactly you just touched upon helps me realize too now, like, what I love about our talks is sometimes I'd have nothing in my mind, but when you bring things up will help me, me draw them in. And what I see is like, you have to consider that human beings have relationships with women, right? Consider it a normal, uh, heterosexual relationship. We're not talking about gay people. We're talking about specifically men and women and the dichotomy between men and women. And what
Mm,
women do for men is you always have a pressure there, right? Like
mm,
we can joke about it all day and be like, man, women are fucking crazy. There's this, there's that, whatever. But like what you have to contend with is like we do the same for them, so we
yeah.
shape women the same time they shape us. And there's a relationship there, especially in your own relationship, that like you're bringing
Mm,
something to the table that they haven't seen, and they show you something that you haven't seen. So you're both dealing with these unexpected variables that you got to go, man, like I got to contend with this. I got to learn. I got to grow. Who,
yeah.
you know what I mean? You never thought that the man that you are now, that you would be able to do what you're doing with the woman you're with. But here you are after months, after years, whatever it may be,
Mm,
you realize like, man, you are the sum of your parts. And realistically, the woman you're with is who the reason you are of who you are is because of the woman you are. You know what I mean?
mm,
And I
yeah.
think that's something a lot of men take for granted is they think, oh man, my woman just tests me and does this and that, but they're refining you. And at the
Mm,
same time that they're refining you, you're refining them. And any good relationship, that's what it entails. Is a
mm,
woman who's refining a man, making him better, while simultaneously that man is doing something and he's understanding a better sense of himself that's making the woman better. So you can create a symbiotic relationship where it's like, I make you better, and so that you're at a higher degree than what you thought you were. And now you make me better, which makes me to a higher degree to who I thought you were, which makes you better. So,
I like that.
you see relationships in general, and I can't help but shake this now more than ever, is like you're either spiraling downwards or you're spiraling up. There's no in between. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's like you're
that's
either
I
growing or
see.
improving. Yeah.
That's like you're describing like the alchemical process right there. It's like it's literally like an alchemy of male and female, or like one of the best explanations I've heard is like of alchemy. It's like you're refining two substances to their highest degree and
Right.
then combining them so that they make something greater than the sum
Of the
two
parts. Yeah.
parts. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like it becomes something completely new and transcends the two on their own. And
Right.
so, but you think about that, it's like how many relationships do you think ever reach that
Achieve
point?
that.
It's
Probably
like
slim. Probably slim, honestly.
because you think about it like this, going into that is like the because I think that process is sometimes so difficult. And like back to what you were talking about earlier about ego, it's like sometimes the process of two people refining themselves separately and then unifying into something greater is so difficult that they never get off the ground completely.
Right.
And like I think that's one of the great secrets of the universe even is like I think it's in Outwitting the Devil. He says in one of the parts of the book, he says like one of his greatest enemies is two minds together, and so to
Oh shit.
combine those two, yeah, is very difficult sometimes. That alchemical process is not easy.
Makes sense, man. I mean, the way I see it is like wherever friction appears in your life is genuinely a opportunity for you to grow. So
Mm-hmm.
regardless of wherever that is, it's with your partner, it's with your work relationship, it could be anywhere. But when you recognize that there's resistance between something, that just means that you have the opportunity to either shrink or grow. You know what I mean? You can either transcend it or you can sink below it. And like
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the pivotal points that I think a lot of people miss, which is like we are lucky as human beings to even have the opportunity to where we can be with someone or do something or wherever we are and be able to be like, man, I can be better than who I was before. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the idea that you're basically a forever student, and then you've heard this from like old men, guys that who've lived their whole lives, and they still dig their feet into being like, I'm learning still. I learned from my relationship, I learned from my business.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever it is, there's always opportunities there. And I think people take them for granted and they'll get triggered by them. They think, oh, my wife is just a bitch. She doesn't get it. Whatever, however you want to write it off, you can do that. Or you can choose to be like, man, maybe the person I'm with has a deep seated real problem and I can help her overcome that. Because you know what fucking kills me, dude, is when I see people in a relationship and they treat their spouse poorly, I'm just like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You signed
Mm-hmm.
up to be with this person and you are treating them like shit. For what reason? She's a part of
Mm-hmm.
you. He's a part of you. It doesn't matter. I see it on both sides. I see men do it to women. I see women do it to men. And I'm like, why be with the person when ultimately, like, that's your better half? That should be your right
Mm-hmm.
arm.
You
Would
know,
you saw off your right arm because you're mad at her? You know what I mean?
that's deep, bro. That's deep. Going off of that even a little bit, it's like I honestly think like one of the things, the beliefs that I've always had in like any relationship that I'm in, and I always like speak on this when I'm in a relationship, is like I think in relationships people too much of the time think that because they're having a bad time or they're going through certain things that they automatically have to off put that onto their partner and make them suffer too.
Right.
It's like I don't believe in that. It's like I think, and that's not to say that like I'm not saying like your partner can't share to help you through things,
The
but
vent.
I'm saying in the example where people aren't mindful of themselves and when they're suffering, and they take that suffering unmindfully out on their partner, and they think because well I'm going through it, so you just gotta deal with it.
Right.
I honestly think like that's the weakest thing, bro. It's like I think like if you for me I try to, and not always perfectly, but I try to when I can like be mindful not to let anything that I'm suffering about bleed onto the partner who I'm with. Like that's just something that let's say I have a hard day at work or something like that, rather than coming home and like taking it out on them and getting mad and like all this other stuff. It's like instead I'm gonna, as much as I can, try to shield them from that. Because why does it take two people? Why do two people need to suffer? I
Right.
think too many people they willy nilly do that to each other in relationships.
100%. I think the commonplace is basically like, I'm having a bad day. I want you to know that I'm having a bad day. More so, I want you to also have a bad day so that I don't feel like my bad day is that bad. And I think
Yeah.
what a good ideal realistic relationship is where I can come home from a long days of work and you can, resonate with this is like, I didn't have the best day at work. It was a little rough. You know, I'm a little upset about it, but I come home and the person I'm with is happy. Why would I want to take them down?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly, exactly.
And it's like, to what benefit does that bring me? So for me, it's like, it's not necessarily about sweeping things under the rug or wanting to pretend it's not there. It's more so just opening that channel and being like, look, like I had a rough day, but boy, am I glad that I get to come home to someone that's happy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think that's where a
Exactly.
lot of relationships will go sour, is where it's like, what I feel, you need to feel because you're a part of me. And it's like, no, dude, like,
Yeah, like no way.
right. And you know what's crazy, and considering this even more now, just given the stage of life I'm in, I can see that women every single month are tested hormonally, and they're
Mm,
tested on an emotional level to where they want, like, whatever's in them will be exacerbated. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
So
Magnifier.
every single month a woman bleeds, and the moon does something to them. It's something that humans can't even fully explain, but this is a natural phenomenon of women. And what men need to learn to contend with is to not only be supportive of them, but to not let their women bleed their problems onto them.
Mm, mm. Yeah, because you know what? I think too, it's like, I think obviously you want to be supportive and very compassionate, definitely. But I do think society has almost made it like okay for
Right.
women to do that.
We normalized it.
Yeah, to normalize it to where it's like, but you know what that really is? It's honestly weak. It's
Yeah.
just weakness. It's just an excuse to be weak. It's like
100%.
I don't care. Like I don't give two shits about what pain you're in. This may be a hot take, but I don't give two shits about what pain you're in because you shouldn't. I don't care what. Even myself, it's like I don't care what pain I'm in. It's
You
like
don't
there
bring
is
that
no.
to them. Yeah.
Yeah, there is no excuse for me to bleed that pain onto you just
Right.
because I'm feeling pain.
You had a
You know what I'm
bad
saying?
day. Now they have to have a bad day. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
And
yeah. I
I
don't
think,
believe in that. Like, get that shit out of here.
no, I mean, I agree. And I think what's the issue is, and I'm not saying this is like a women problem, but that to where we've normalized treating women of like, you have a valid reason every month to be psycho, right? And you could write it off and be like, oh, it's my hormones, it's my blood. Like, no one understands that. You guys got a car going off?
And someone's breaking in the cars over here. No,
No, but I mean, to a degree, it is that is like, it's a difference to when you're with a woman who understands her feelings versus
mm,
one that can not, and it's like there's always a choice at the end of the day. You can choose to identify with your feelings and encapsulate them and be like, that's who I am. You know what I mean? I'm angry or I feel angry, so I'm angry. Versus
mm,
someone who could be like, man, I could feel external forces on me wanting to be angry right now, but I don't feel angry. I
mm,
can feel that. So, and I'm not putting it strictly on the women. Men have their own thing, but to a degree, most men, and what I've learned with is you got to contend with this once a month. Every single month, there's going to be something that you need to, like, here you go again. Here's your next test. You know what I mean? And
mm,
it's like we talked about, is like, for me, those are opportunities for not only them to grow, but for you to grow, to where you go, how can I show up as your partner and help you talk yourself through this? It's almost like, this sounds terrible, but it's like talking someone who's crazy that they're not crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you may think you're crazy, but you're not crazy. These are external forces. And you tell them that enough, and you're just like, dude, recognize the separation between what you feel and what you are,
Yeah,
because you don't need to embody all of your feelings all the time. Just because I'm mad doesn't mean I'm convinced I'm mad. I can
yeah.
separate and go, you know what? I feel like this thing is making me feel mad, but that's not me.
But you know what you're talking about is very good. I feel like it's very high level. Well, maybe like it doesn't sound like high level, but it sounds very simple, right? But I think in terms of like real life, like circumstances, I think that's very high level ability to be able to separate like your emotions and understand that, oh, my emotions aren't me.
Right.
Like
That's
even
it.
my thoughts aren't necessarily me.
B. Yeah.
And so like I think because I've practiced that sometimes, again, not always successfully, not perfect every time, but when I've practiced that, you do feel the separation. Like there is a difference between like the physical body, the mud body, or the spirit or the soul. And it's like which one is actually operating the vehicle. And this
Right.
goes even takes it back to simulation again. It's like I can see that within a simulation you would be running off of programs, running off a set program, which would be the physical mechanisms in the body, the chemical processes in the body, how your emotions and things are influencing you. But when you are able to suddenly stop the program and kind of awaken to become kind of like conscious and actually direct yourself. Because you could argue that, because this goes, this again is back into the simulation theory. It's like this goes into maybe most humans right now aren't that different than the AI that we're programming because it's
100%.
running off of programs. It seems conscious sometimes the way it communicates, but it's not necessarily the same consciousness that we consider ourselves. But what's the difference to say that most humans aren't just NPCs walking around running
Exactly.
programs that they've never really taken the time to step back from their emotions, the mud body mechanisms, processes in the body that are stimulating their thoughts and emotions and feelings and cravings and all these different things. And they've never woken up to actually stop it and go, hey, wait a minute. I don't have to be the program. I
Right.
can do what I want to do.
Two separately. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you nailed it perfectly there, dude. Is like that is the separation, and even within myself, like we all fall short. We all fall from grace. You have moments of you find yourself sticky in the simulation. You look at an attractive woman. You know you're with a good woman. You're
Yeah.
happy to be with the woman, but it's not enough. And maybe this is just the male mind, but like the way I subscribe it to my own partner is kind of like I have my own like monkey mind. You know what I mean? And then I have my mind. It doesn't
Mm.
it doesn't mean I'm the same person. I'm just telling you like and I'll be real, I tell this to my partner is like, I'll look at other women. Doesn't mean I'm looking to be with them. You
Mm.
know?
Mm.
Doesn't mean that I'm wanting that, but I'm trying to be transparent enough to be like, I can feel when things enter my mind, and I want them to know that that's where I am. And it's like, dude, you can only do so much, whether you're a man or a woman. We're programmed differently. Our code is, back to simulation. Like we're actually programmed differently, and naturally
Mm.
that's the case. So, you could only do so much as you are as a man, but what the one thing is that you have control over is to be able to delineate between what your primal urges are and who you are, right?
Mm. That's deep,
Because
actually. Yeah.
plenty of time you're like, man, I wish I could just whatever, eat like a whole pound cake to myself right now. That sounds bomb, right? But you're like, no, it's not good for me. Or you're like, no, I don't need to go to the gym because I can do this or whatever. Like,
Mm.
we always find ourselves in spaces where we will justify what we want. But the thing that you can really do to delineate from it is separating it and going, like, this is what I want and this is what I'll do.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm.
it's like recognizing the patterns in yourself of like, there's plenty of things that I want to do that I won't do. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because I have control over myself. I know who I am. Just because I want to sleep with every woman I see doesn't mean I'm going to strive for that. Just because I want to eat that, cake that I saw at the store doesn't mean I'm going to buy that cake and eat it. It's
Yeah.
just being able to be real with yourself and be like, you know what? I have urges within me
Mm.
and they're not me. You know, that's
You
just
know,
a separate
that's a
thing.
good point. It's like, but I think the only thing that will stop that, like for most people, like I think, because I think most people, like they have like a set thing like that, like okay, I want to do this, like I want to be faithful to my girlfriend, or I want to do this. But if the because you're in the matrix and there's the girl in the red dress right there, she's actually designed to pull you from it.
Right.
And so if you think about it, it's like the only real way to like supersede it is for you to have um really defined purpose and direction. So it's like so strongly the direction that you want to go.
Right. That's
Where
the element. That's the
yeah,
element.
yeah, exactly. Anything that pops up that's opposite of it, it's just almost like, I mean, this may be a bad analogy, but it would be like you couldn't make a, I don't know, maybe in some cases you could, but most cases you aren't gonna convince a straight guy to just like randomly go gay,
Right.
because the direction is so opposite
It's
that
so
it's
cool.
like
Yeah.
it would have to be usually. I'm not saying all the time. I'm sure there are some circumstances with it which this does happen, but is is usually I would think there would be some inclination to that direction. So it's like if your purpose is so like focused and singular on this, and then this other thing pops up that's opposite to that direction. If it's too extreme, you're just not gonna. It's not gonna be able to deter you. Like maybe pull you a little bit, but not completely.
I agree. I think that's I mean, and good way for us to end this, topic is like the ailment to these things. And this is something that not only men, but women feel is like we're pulled in directions that sometimes we feel like is beyond us. You know what I mean? Where you feel
Mm,
compelled to do something, you want to manipulate someone, you want to be with something, you want to abuse a substance, you want to do whatever it is, you're going to make the decision to do that. But the way to kind of tighten that ship up is basically by having a sense of direction, by having some kind of meaning and reminding
mm,
yourself, like, you are not just an amalgamation of urges. Just because you feel the urge to doom scroll on Instagram doesn't mean you need to
mm,
doom scroll on Instagram. You can, not only that, but and what I found with myself is every time I forego pleasure of something, and you
mm,
can relate to this too, because frankly, you taught me this, is that when I can forego, call it masturbation, call it doom scrolling, calling, a substance, drinking alcohol, whatever it is that you feel immediate gratification for, typically when you forego that and you choose not to, you feel better. That's the
it
weird thing.
does. It
You
does.
always feel like, man, like you accomplished something because you wanted it, but you chose not to do it. So
Yeah.
every single time in your life that you do something that you wanted, but you chose not to do it, you foregoed the instant gratification. You foregoed, being immediately recognized as like that's what you wanted. You feel better. So it's almost like a little hidden clue that the universe will show you that when you
Mm,
discipline yourself to a degree that you forego the things that you want for other things that are better. It's like don't take something now when you know that if you hold off for a little longer, you'll be better off. You're always rewarded. So
that's deep actually. For whatever reason, when you started explaining to that it immediately made me think of the monks actually,
Right.
because they're basically, severing their attachment to, cravings and, sexual misconduct and overeating and all these sense pleasures and all these different things. And if you think about it, it's like you compare like us in the normal world, lay people. You compare it is we're always seeking like some kind of high, whether that's through food, whether it's through entertainment, pleasure,
Definitely.
sex, whatever. And it's hard to actually maintain like for a lot of people like a high level of like emotional like happiness where you feel like happy or fulfilled or good because you're chasing all these things. And if you look at a lot of the monks, is it's when they've detached from so much of that that they're in a state of happiness, a state of like inner peace and like clarity. And so that is it's kind of like you said, that's the universal clue right there, where it's just like when we pull away from some of these things, it's just like we actually get happier than ever before.
It's ironic in a sense, is like everyone's striving to get, instant gratification for something, and like you feel something, you want it, you want something to reinforce how you feel. But every single time you notice that you forego that experience to where you can kind of do that, well, and what you taught me, which is like more of a controlled suffering, is like you'll be happy with, not only happier with yourself, but you have more of like a sense of energy that like it reaccomplishes you to where you feel like, man, I really wanted to do this thing and I chose not to, even though I knew it would make me feel good. I didn't do it. I did something else. I woke up early and I went to the gym, and no one ever wants to wake up early and go to the gym. But
Hmm.
after you go to the gym and you come home, you feel good. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So
In fact,
you're
in fact,
rewarded by that, where it's like that's what you can dig your feet in, is like foregoing easy pleasures in life give you more
mm,
reward than it is actually getting the reward.
yeah, in fact, in those circumstances, I would say the tiredness actually feels good to you.
Right.
Like the pain that you're feeling in your muscles actually feel good. Have you ever felt that before?
Yeah,
Like the pain from like working out,
big time.
even though it's physically hurting, but it actually feels good to you.
Yeah, because you feel like you did something, and for me,
Mm,
I feel it on the opposite sense of like if I go to the gym and I know I didn't go that hard and I don't feel like that muscle tenderness, I'm like, man, I dropped the ball. I didn't go as hard as I would have. And
mm,
so it works both ways. It's like where you can be rewarded by the things that you don't want to do, which seems weird. It seems backwards. It's like, oh man, people are so programmed to want to get instant gratification of things. But as soon as you forego them and things go and time passes, you can be like, man, like same thing with losing weight. You really want to lose weight, you're going to have to forego eating, you know?
yeah.
Eating feels good to everyone. Everyone can relate to that. That's an easy one. But if you really want to like slim down, that's what it takes. So
Yeah.
you feel better about yourself, you got more confidence. So that's
Mm.
a that's an interesting one, man. I'm glad that you brought that up because it paints a better picture in my life of where I'm at. So
No,
I'm
I love it. I love it. This was a good this was a good
like
conversation.
talk.
I think we got some hot spots in there, but that's good. That's good.
Until the
Oh
until the
man.
next one.
Till the next one. Till the next one. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. Another podcast. Another successful podcast. Thank you guys for joining as well. We do this every Wednesday at the same time. The links in the bio. Follow us. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Thanks, Kelly.
Well, thank you, Jamar. Love you, man. Talk
Love you.
soon.
Talk soon. Bye.